3D will always be around. It's a big thing. It's part of the natural world. Hi, I'm James Reese. I'm a stereographer at DNEG. DNEG is one of the leading visual effects and animation houses in the world. We have over 20 years experience, been around since the 90s. We've recently won 7 Academy Awards in the last 10 or 12 years. I've been with the company for about 14 years. I've worked on a number of projects from Transformers, Rise of the Beasts, to Dune, Wonder Woman, Godzilla, Jumanji, bunch of cool stuff. 3D, been around in photography since the 19th century. It's been big in cinema since the 50s. Hitchcock shot Dial M for Murder in '54, and that was the end of the first 3D craze. The really nice thing about these immersive experiences is they can take you to another time and another place in a way that traditional media can't. Just like that.
If anyone knows 3D, it's James. I was so lucky to have the opportunity to work with DNEG on the latest MetaQuest VR film, Ocean of Light, Dolphins VR. To me, as a 3D immersive filmmaker, it is eye-opening how top-notch Hollywood VFX studio approach immersive 3D in the head-mounted display. Let's get one thing straight. You cannot shoot the perfect 3D 180 just with the camera alone. In this video, I'm excited to share with you the innovative choices we make, both from the director's perspective and from the Hollywood level 3D post-production perspective. We will take you on an in-depth behind-the-scenes journey, revealing how we craft Ocean of Light for MetaQuest. This groundbreaking film is the first 3D 180 immersive film on Meta Horizon World, allowing you to interact with the story alongside with your friends. Shortly after its release, we were honored with the nomination for the PGA Innovation Awards. Many filmmakers in our community and the industry at large have been curious about our camera setup and how we achieve such a stunning 3D effects even in the 180 stereo dead zone. This video will answer all your technical questions and set the bar for the next wave of high-end immersive filmmaking. First, meet our visionary director and cinematographer, Bob Talbot of Ocean of Light.
There's one dolphin towards the end of Dolphin VR when we're in the pod and she's up high and just staring at the lens the whole time, which means she's staring at you. And it's interesting because I've never done anything with film that really made me feel like I was having that connection in that moment. And every time I watch it in headset, I feel like I'm having that experience with that dolphin again. So if we can broaden that to more species and have enough people look animals a little differently and feel that they're experiencing their world in an intimate fashion, it's just another small step towards building empathy and compassion. I'm Bob Talbot. I'm a filmmaker and photographer specializing in marine mammals. So yeah, going into it, I had my misgivings about VR. I didn't know if I was really gonna feel it. First time I put on the headset, Brent, we had just shot stuff that morning and Brent had got it, sorted out so we could get it in headset. And I was blown away. I was there with those animals. I was seeing things that they were doing that I didn't even notice when I was there just an hour before. And the way it pushes you into the scene, the way it puts you there. If you look at the raw footage on a monitor, yeah, and it's a wide shot of dolphins. Yeah, it's cool. You put it in headset, and you're with the dolphins. It was far more impactful than anticipated. I was converted in the moment. I knew going in that we would need to use this special rig I've built for filming dolphins, which is a twin diver propulsion vehicles mounted on a camera sled. The next thing was, how do we get the most resolution we can? And so after doing, some tests, we were looking at reds, and my experience with red cameras underwater has been mixed. The color palette for blue water isn't isn't up to Aries, in my opinion, or it turns out Sony's color science with the Venice 2 is spectacular. And it was the only camera shot 8K that would have the coverage that we wanted without a lot of compression at 60 frames a second. So we used that camera, and it worked out wonderfully with the fisheye lens, so we can get as much coverage as we could. Well, post was a whole other adventure. You shoot these things, and you think when you get home, you got some footage that you're in good shape, but that's just the beginning. We needed to shoot in 2D and convert to 3D because with the Dolphins crowding the lens the way they do, the parallax just wouldn't work out with a double camera system without a beam splitter. So we were able to shoot fisheye, which is a very immersive perspective, but then we had to convert to 3D. And I'd worked with the folks, they weren't at DNEG at the time, but the same folks at DNEG on my last project doing a 3D conversion, and was completely blown away. In fact, my stereographer on my last job was very reluctant to do conversions. He's a real diehard purist that prefers to shoot in 3D. And when we were done with the project, he felt that was the best underwater 3D he'd seen.
So now you know our camera choices and why we decided to go the 3D post-conversion route. It is a necessity for underwater 3D, but also the best 3D in my humble opinion. Now let's back to James and talk more about the differences between traditional Hollywood film 3D and immersive 3D, or a more popular term now, spatial.
Ocean of Light Dolphins VR is it's the first piece presented in 3D in the Meta Horizons platform. It's exciting to be part of this new, emerging spatial technology and see how 3D fits within that. So there are a few differences between traditional theatrical Hollywood conversion and what we've done for the Quest VR. The big thing is the content. With this project, it's 60 frames a second as opposed to 24, and there's roughly only 25 shots in 10 minutes, whereas with a Hollywood film, you'd have about 200 shots in 10 minutes. So we had shots that were up to 6,000 frames long, whereas in a Hollywood piece, you'd normally have an average shot length of, say, 60 frames. So like 1% of the length. So that presented some challenges for us, content-wise. We had to do a lot of master planning, chop the shots up into pieces, coordinate between the artists, make sure depth is set at the head and tail of each one of the component parts, plan out the animations throughout these pieces to make sure the end of the shot makes sense with the beginning. So that was a big challenge. There's hardly any people here. It's a lot of dolphins. All of our tools are built for sculpting people, for faces. We use geometry and things for faces. We don't have a lot of detailed geometry for dolphins because we're not working with dolphins a lot. So there was a bit of trial and error to sculpt out these dolphins accurately, when they're waving their tails and things like that. The other big difference with this project, the headset, working in the headset, as opposed to theatrical, is all the computers that we're working on have flat screens. But the final presentation of this project is going to be in a headset, and it's 180. It's a half dome. It took a bit of trial and error to kind of, work on an unwrapped flat image, review, the round image and sort of give feedback anticipating, that they're going to be working flat and we're going to be reviewing round. So that was another big difference. So when we first get the material in, I'll watch everything. I evaluate kind of lens choice, the subject material, the coverage of these dolphins. Are we in close? Are we far away? And I'll kind of script out what kind of depth we're going to have for the whole film. So everything's planned out before the artists even start working, sort of, actual disparity values. Then we'll ingest the shots. We go to roto. So every single dolphin is traced and outlined. We sculpt out, or we roto, their flippers and individual, brow for their face sort of thing, so that we're able to create detail within them. Then we go to depth, where we sort of duplicate the eyes. There's some horizontal offset to the pixels between each eye, and that helps to create the depth, or that's what creates the depth. Offsetting the pixels stretches pixels around dolphins. So we have to go to paint to remove the artifacts around the edge, create clean plates for everything, and then all throughout the process, we're reviewing. So we review at depth, we review at final. The depth stage, I will only give depth notes, reduce depth 25%, push this dolphin back, this dolphin feels overstretched, reduce volume in the dolphin, or we need to increase the animation on the dolphin when they come towards camera, things like that. Then we review again at final, and that's purely looking for artifacting. After that, we'll do a sequence review and make sure that, everything's smooth shot to shot, so that one shot's not really close here and the other one's further away. So there's balancing that goes on at the end. Or that, we want the scale of the dolphins to feel consistent throughout the piece, based on, lens choice and coverage. I primarily would review in the theater first, so I'd have a big screen, which helps, and we have really advanced review tools, so I'm able to play at half speed, quarter speed, go to the tail of the shot, pause in the middle, and then toggle between versions too. So it's really nice. I can make sure that everything is adheres to the quality of the scan, because I can toggle right against the scan in the theater, make sure that we're, pixel perfect around the dolphin edges and stuff. After we're done reviewing the theater, I'll check everything in the headset, because I want to make sure, because we're looking on a flat screen, I want to make sure that everything looks right, when we're in a sphere. So that's sort of the final QC stage. Just allows us to make sure that, animations are right when things are going from, the left to right side, things like that. So in stereo conversion, DNEG uses a couple pieces of software, primarily Nuke. Nuke's a standard compositing package. We'll use that for Roto and for Final. The middle part of our process is done using a proprietary piece of software called Stereo Composer. It's really unique and very speedy, so it allows the artists to kind of work at really quick pace without actually having to render to check their work, and that's the biggest cost savings there. So we primarily just use those two pieces of software. On Oceans of Light, Dolphins VR, we had to maintain a conform for the entire project. That was done within Resolve. So we used DaVinci Resolve to do that. Every time a new version came in, we'd cut it into the conform. And at the very end, that was sent over to our partner, Prime Focus Technologies, and they did the final color on the project.
As you can see, creating perfect immersive content involves a lot of work and significant cost. Furthermore, not all stories need to be told in this new immersive format. Now, let's hear from the director perspective on why we created Ocean of Light. We will explore why empathy does not necessarily equal to compassion.
I think my ultimate goal was to put people in the pod. It's even when you go out and take a trip to swim with dolphins, generally you don't get immersed in the pod. You don't feel like you're one of the pod. With the camera sled that I use and the dolphins' attraction to that and their tolerance, you can get right into a pod of dolphins and have them surrounding you. So by putting the camera there, of course, I'm putting the viewer there. And that to me is really the ultimate. The idea that somebody who may never even see the ocean could experience swimming with dolphins, experience being part of that pod. That's super exciting to me. And that it's a moving thought, I feel really lucky to do this stuff. And sometimes I feel a little guilty because there's so many others that don't have those kind of opportunities. So if this project and others, allows other folks to know what it's like to be a dolphin, then it's all worthwhile. A big part of the project I'm working on right now is the science behind empathy and compassion. We didn't evolve these emotions for no reason, and nor did other animals. But empathy is often mistaken for compassion. We can feel what someone else feels. We could be tuned into how they feel, but it's how we react to that that's really important. And I think VR is kind of like the ultimate empathy machine. It puts you in somebody else's shoes or fins, and through that, grow our sense of empathy and hopefully act on that empathy through compassion. You know, bottom line, I think the difference between a film about dolphins and a VR experience about dolphins is that watching a film, you're doing just that. You're watching a film, you're watching dolphins. In VR, you're with them. You're in the ocean with these animals, and you're experiencing life very much through their eyes because you're in that space with your pod members and kind of moving as one. So yeah, I think it's the next level in immersive entertainment, and we're at the very beginning. You know, I think there's so much more to come.
Thank you for joining us on our journey in creating Ocean of Life. This video represents a different approach, offering insights into my professional work beyond YouTube and providing a glimpse into our decision-making process in immersive filmmaking. I hope it helps and inspires you, whether you're a filmmaker or an innovative storyteller, by giving you technical insights and a new perspective for your next project. If you appreciate this kind of in-depth technical discussion, please comment below and let us know. I realize this is a departure from the solution-based tutorial you are used to on this channel, but I believe it is crucial for us to slow down and gain a deeper understanding of our goals and processes. If you are new here, please consider subscribing and giving this video a like. Your support motivates us to continue innovating in this space and to share knowledge that can assist your success in immersive storytelling. Until next time, see ya.